things that were, directly called from atop, from the Illuminati, from the Council on Foreign Relations. These were all people that did this so that they could, move into action, their next step, whether it be war or, with Oklahoma City, it was the crackdown on the patriots and the militias and so forth. So, depending on what their motives are, then you can start to figure out why they're doing these things.
And it allowed them to slide through with the Patriot Act.
Yeah. We'll get into that after the break.
Right, and preemptively striking other nations of the world.
Yeah. What did you guys think of George Bush Sr. bringing in 2,000 of the Iraqi Republican Guard after the first Persian Gulf War? He brought them over and settled them in OKC.
Well, it's just like, Project Paperclip after World War II. I was just reading about this today again, and, directly after World War II, it was a guy named Galen, who was a German Nazi SS guy, and he's the one who organized it in Germany, brought this plan over, gave it to our government, to our military, and showed them, quote-unquote, how valuable they could be to us. And before you knew it, there was 600 Nazis being smuggled into this country to start basically what was the CIA.
Yeah, and that was basically, at that time, is when they really started their mind control programs.
Exactly.
Yes. And while we were trying to perfect mind control, which is something the Russians had already done, they perfected space.
Right. Well, these same people were also involved with not only intelligence and mind control, but, the early rocket programs that led to what NASA eventually developed.
They were working in American labs, developing poison gases like sarin.
Yeah, Chicago, dominant CIA chemistry place for the bio attacks. Yeah, what do you guys think? Okay, there was 20 pictures of Arab terrorists that they posted on the FBI Most Wanted site. And they had to take that page down because 3 of them are threatening to sue the FBI if they didn't get the pictures off their website. Because they weren't even in this country. One was a doctor in France.
Right.
And the FBI had to take down that 20 most wanted list, but today still the government goes with that 20 most wanted list.
Yeah.
And it's a facade. It's a lie. None of those guys were on the planes. And they've proven it.
Yeah. The whole story is just, there's more holes in it than a block of Swiss cheese. And if the American people are going to believe that, they will believe anything.
And we didn't think this commission was going to do anything, right?
Well,
no, they lied.
Oh, yeah.
And see, the big thing now is that, with this information coming out in this book by Mike Rupert, every single American now has to face this and look at it and say, what if Dick Cheney actually was the one behind these war games and these ones that were, and this thing that became 9/11, the 9/11 terrorist attacks. Everyone has to think about this now. What if our own government was behind it, and they concocted this story of these 19 Arab cave dwellers that using just $300,000 only pulled off the biggest attack on the shores of this country.
And if they did it, what are we going to do about it?
Yeah, what if, I wrote a piece once. It was a fictional, like a satire piece about David Rockefeller coming out before the American people and saying, everything that the conspiracy theorists said is true. Now what are you going to do about it? What if Dick Cheney was behind it? What if he came out on CBS or CNN or Fox News? What if he came out tomorrow night and said, we did it? What are we going to do about it? Are we going to do anything? Would we even care enough to do anything?
Huh. Yeah, it's almost like that JFK movie, where at the end of the movie, at the end of the trial, it had already been proven that the government was involved, the mafia, the CIA, everybody working together to kill John F. Kennedy. And they looked right into the camera and said, what are you going to do?
Right.
And then, what are you going to do? Nobody did anything about that.
Right. Well, it's like this upcoming election. You have 2 skull and bones that have been pitted against one another. They're both members of an elite secret society. They pledge their allegiance to that secret society above God, family, country, and everything else.
Right. They pledge loyalty to the God of light, or we call him Lucifer and Satan, and of course, they don't even acknowledge he exists. They call him something else.
20 or 30 years ago, we always used to laugh at the Russians whenever they had elections and say,
real elections.
They don't really have any choice. But in America, look at this. We have choice. We have freedom. We have democracy. And we have 2 people, Bush and Kerry, that are working for the same people, that belong to the same organization, that are blood brothers. And
we can vote for skull or we can vote for bones.
Yeah, is there really all that much difference?
Yeah, now everybody's laughing at us.
Right. That's why we're telling everybody to vote third party, anybody but Bush or Kerry, because voting for either guy is a vote for evil.
Well, Sherman Skolnick was on my show 2 weeks ago. I don't know if you listened in on that one.
No, we missed that one.
He exposed the fact that John Kerry and George Bush are third cousins.
Yeah,
and that it was John Kerry who initiated, as a bonesman, you initiate the person who's coming in behind you, taking your place when you leave.
Yeah.
And it was John Kerry who initiated George Bush.
Yeah, because they're 2 years apart. Kerry was 66 and Bush was 68, so they were fraternity brothers.
And part of the initiation was to have homosexual sex in a coffin together, and they're third cousins.
Yeah, I don't know if it's exactly homosexual sex, but I know that they do have to, strip naked and lay in a coffin. And
no, Sherman Skolnick spelled it out.
Yeah, well, I've never read that, but it's something along that line.
Yeah, I mean, it was just amazing because they're all connected bloodlines and everything else because those Illuminati bloodlines are very well protected. They're married within the same circles. They don't really have marriages; they have partnerships.
Right.
And just to protect the bloodlines.
Well, the point is the American people can't keep doing the same thing and expecting a different result.
Yeah, a different result.
We have to do something different to achieve a different result.
Yeah. And that's what keeps you guys pounding every day, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I mean,
it does.
We watched a movie once. It was that fictional movie about Bill Clinton, and there was a guy in the movie that was working for the Clintons, and they finally laughed at him towards the end of the movie, and they says, "You have a disease," and they're like, "What do you mean I have a disease?" And they said, "You're a true believer," and they were laughing at him because none of these people in the Clinton administration actually believed in anything. They knew it was all just a big scam job, that they were involved in this massive organized crime syndicate. And I guess we suffer from this same disease because we really, truly do believe that somehow, somewhere, something's going to change. But, we need this massive paradigm shift in the way we view the world. And if you don't believe that something can happen or something can change, then it won't.
I don't think we can get anywhere.
It's not just our view of the world, it's our view of our role in the world.
Yeah. As long as people still believe there's two political parties, we're not going to get anywhere.
Yeah. I mean, I think...
no, there's not two political parties.
No, they don't exist.
Yeah.
It's us against them. It's the patriots, the Christians, the hardworking people of America against this New World Order, blood-drinking, shape-shifting freak crowd.
Yeah. I mean, if we get back to this thing about belief, if you look at the protesters in Chicago, 1968, at the Democratic National Convention, and if you look at the ones this year at the Republican National Convention, the people in the 60s actually truly believed that they could change the world and that they could lead a revolution. That's why they went in there and got their brains beat in, and that's why they got, so many people arrested. And so, I mean, there was a lot of people arrested this year, but there wasn't the massive show of force, us against them, that there was in Chicago. And I think it all boils down to is in 68, they truly believed.
Well, in 68 they had freedom. They knew they weren't going to go to jail just to show up with a protest T-shirt on.
Yeah.
There's a lot of intimidation today.
Protest light, basically. I mean,
What people need to understand is that apathy is more dangerous than tyranny.
Yeah, doing nothing.
Right.
It's might as well just saying, go ahead and do what you want.
And then, if you're going to moan and groan about the way things are, but you're not willing to stand up and fight for your freedom, you don't deserve to have freedom.
We're going to take a break. We'll be right back with Lisa and Victor.
This is the Reality Radio Network on Telstar 5 Transponder 5 and on the internet at realityradionetwork.com.
Hi, I'm Steve Quayle, and for over 10 years and thousands of hours of radio broadcasts, I've been warning and preparing individuals and families of the great perils that are now upon us by having interviews with some of the more interesting and controversial guests in the country. It benefits you to listen in to my previous radio broadcasts, which are available by subscription to archiveondemand.com or by calling Steve Melching at 260-356-2611. Time is running out. The information you may gain could mean the difference between life and death. So once again, call Steve Melching at 260-356-2611.
And now back to Sherry.
Hey, I'm back with Lisa and Victor. Let's, I just said this earlier, let's get to the Patriot Act after the break. Give us a rundown on this Patriot Act.
Well, we have, I guess, a little bit of a different view on this than most people. What we see is there's so much fear-mongering out there in the world, and we try not to promote this on Wing TV. I mean, there's other broadcasters out there. I mean, well, first of all, I guess if you look at just any of the mainstream newscasts on